Hi everyone, Keith here. I want to talk to you about some things today in regards to you as people, as humans. And basically, and I don't mean any offense to anybody. I don't care what religion you have, but I hope you understand I'm only quoting from a Christian book called the Bible, of course. It's book Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24. And I'm just using this to help people understand. In that verse there, it says basically one can only serve one master. You cannot serve both God and money. You cannot serve both God and another man. You can only serve one master. And basically what I'm trying to help people figure out is that there's a big difference between legalities and laws. And the main difference is complaint versus claim. Now, when somebody's broken a law, it means they've committed a crime, which is defined as causing another person, man or woman, to suffer a loss, harm, injury to their person or property. When you've done something like that, that person that you violated has the right to come forth with a claim. In other words, he has the right to come forward and say, now you owe me. You caused me a loss. I want compensation. When it comes down to committing to actions that are merely mistakes or differences of beliefs, anything like that, that result in no suffering, no loss to anybody else, then that's your right. You have a right to your own choice. It's when that choice causes an action, or when that choice becomes an action that causes a harm or injury or loss or suffering to another man or being or their property, that they have a what's called a claim. If you haven't caused anything like that, then all anybody has is a complaint. And complaints can be brought up by anybody. It can be brought by your neighbor. His dog was at large and it put me in fear, whatever. The police often do that. Animal control often does that. The police often do all kinds of things. And most often, I couldn't possibly tell you the percentage because I haven't looked into it. I don't really care. All I know is it's abuse. It's corruption. But the police, along with the rest of the system, the judicial system of the United States of America, every county, every state, and what they do is bring forth a majority of nothing but complaints. And those complaints are based on legality, state codes, statutes, rules, regulations, county codes, state rules and regulations, city codes. And all they are is complaints. If you've not harmed or injured anybody by building a back porch the way you wanted to build it rather than by city code, then all they have is complaint. You owe them nothing. Nothing. You have caused no harm, injury, suffering, or loss. All they have is a complaint, a legal complaint. And all you have to do is make sure to stand up for yourself. You have to know these differences and know that if you haven't caused anybody any harm and suffering, then they have no right to cause you any harm or suffering. Period. None. If you're out there smoking weed, what harm or suffering does that cause anybody to this day? the only harm or suffering it's caused to anybody, period, was that some people were found to have been high when they were in an accident. Doesn't mean that that caused the accident. Same problem they have with alcohol, except alcohol is much worse. We have hundreds of thousands of deaths caused over decades. Over those same decades, not one single death recorded to marijuana. You have the right. You have the right to use meth. You have the right to use coke. You have the right to put anything in your body that you want. As long as you're not causing harm or suffering to anybody else, they cannot bring forth a claim and prove that you owe anybody a debt. Please, learn this stuff, people. Teach it to your children. They're abusing your children in school by holding them back. No matter how smart your kid is, if he's at the top of the class or the bottom of the class, you should be teaching your own kids. They're doing it because they get a paycheck. And when it comes down to that judge sitting at that bench, remember, just like the public servant that most likely filed the complaint, they're getting compensated. They're serving a master of money. And until you show them that they cannot serve both money and your rights, which they took an oath to uphold, and you have to be stern in it. You have to be steadfast. You have to be sure. You have to make them realize you are a human being. You're not a piece of paper. Nobody has a claim that they can bring forth and say you owe a debt. Then they better be serving you because they're the public servant and you're the public. Complaint, claim. Legality, lawful. Public servant, public. Of a good Christian book called the Bible. Book Matthew. Chapter 6, verse 24. One can only serve one God. Cannot serve God and money both. Love y'all. Have a good day.